On Now in international news, Burkina Faso's president, Captain Ibrahim, has reported dressed as friendship. We are not against the world. We are for air people, and we welcome any nation that respects us as equals. Economic rejections are compelling. Burkina Faso, going to experience over 5,000 new Burkina Faso just made history. President Ibrahim Traoré has broken ground on what's being called Africa's longest irrigation canal. A bold move that's turning heads across the continent. This isn't just about water. It's about rewriting the future of agriculture, food security, and independence for millions. The dry plains are about to become uplift lines, and at the center of it, Alice, one fearless leader, refusing to let Sahel stay barren. What does this mean for Africa's future? Stick around, Beckos. This story is much bigger than you think. The bulldozers have rolled in and Africa will never be the same. Fedist cloud rose like a signal fire. Bulldozers, survey drones, and thousands of workers lined up along the aid stretch between Burkina Faso and the Sahel. Ibrahim Traoré, the man unsmacked by Western analysts as too young and too revolutionary, stood with a heart and a vision. The continent watched as the first ground was broken on what will become Africa's longest irrigation canal. A project so massive, it makes the Suez look like a garden trench. This isn't just about water. This is about rewriting script for African agriculture. Trop's blueprint spans over 1,200 km cutting across Burkina Faso, linking tributaries in Mali, Niger, and even tapping the southern banks of the Niger River. The ambition is terrifying in the best way possible. He's not waiting for foreign aid. He's not taking IMF loans. He's using mineral revenues, crypto serves, and bilateral trades with non-Western allies to fund the canal. The West built railroads to extract our gold, he said during the groundbreaking ceremony. We will build to feed our children. What you're seeing now isn't just construction, it's a rebirth. Farms that have been dry for decades will bloom again. Villages that prayed for rain will have a constant flow. And more importantly, a message has been sent. Africa is done begging. With this canal, Traoré isn't just watering crops. He's watering a revolution that's been thirsty for centuries. More than a canal, it's a lifeline for the Sahel. You can't understand the scale of this thing until you stand next to it. Trenches wide, washaways, pumping stations, the size of stadiums. But what makes this project revolutionary isn't just its engineering, it's its purpose. The Sahel, once vibrant, has suffered from years of desertification, climate neglect, and broken promises. Entire communities abandoned their lands. Beckos. There simply wasn't enough water to survive. Trey looked at this disaster and saw an opportunity. His canal won't just carry water. It'll carry hope. Plans show that the canal will supply over 40 million people with access to sustainable irrigation and clean water, and not just for drinking. This will revive rice fields, cotton plantations, and mango groves. Smallholder farmers who used to dig wells with their bare hands are now forming cooperative act by government grants and granted access to the canal. It's genius. Trey isn't just feeding people. He's creating an economy from the and while Western media tries to frame him as a populist firebrand, the truth is he's working smarter than in the room. His engineers are a mix of Burkinabe youth and African expats who came back from Europe to build their future at home. Trop is not forcing them, he's inspiring them. And here's what makes it wild. The canal cuts through regions once torn by conflict. Now warlords are laying down arms to become contractors. That's right. Trey is turning battlefields into bread baskets. Not with speeches, with water, with willpower, with action. Economic projections are compelling. Burkina Faso is going to experience over 5,000 new jobs in the tech sector by 2030, and also an estimated 15% increase in rice production through satellite-wide irrigation. This is one of the best. Honestly, if all the African enemies could adopt this system, We will be good to go, because honestly, in this era, there's nothing good than having an effortless irrigation in any farm. Now, this is going to create an attraction of more than $200 million. The West didn't see it coming and now they're nervous. Let's be real. Usual global powers are not happy at this. Why? Because Traoré didn't ask them for help. He didn't knock on the doors of the IMF. He didn't invite the EU to set terms. Instead, he tapped into BRIC's partnerships, security aid from Turkey and the UAE, and got technical input from South Korean hydrologists. That's a nightmare scenario for neo-colonial players. Here's the twist. Traoré made it clear this project wasn't anti-West, it was pro-Africa. But the West can't stand when Africa acts like it doesn't need busy. And now they're scrambling. Think tanks are suddenly publishing reports, questioning the environmental stinity of the project. News outlets are painting the canal as a geopolitical gamble. And yet on the ground, none of that noise matters. Families are digging channels with their own hands. Local schools are creating irrigation curriculum modules. Women's groups are managing cooperative water tanks. This canal isn't just a pipe, it's a movement. And Traoré's genius is he's handling the criticism. He doesn't argue. He doesn't defend. He just builds. While European leaders bait carbon footprints, Traoré is planting forests along the canal banks, while lobbyists whine about trade disruptions. He's launching solar farms to power the water flow. In a world where politics is mostly performance, Traoré is performance through production. He's outworking everyone. In the West, for all its think tanks and policy briefs, suddenly finds itself watching a 36-year-old revolutionary irrigate an empire of self-reliance, tech, tradition, and the true way formula. Here's what most people don't realize. Traoré didn't just order a canal, had signed a system. This isn't a one-off vanity project. It's an integrated contour masterstroke. The canal incorporates satellite, monitored flow gauges, AI-based irrigation timing systems, and drone surveillance to spot leaks or sabotage attempts. But it's not just high-tech, it's high-trust. Villagers are being trained to manage our own sections, using traditional water-sharing customs mixed with modern efficiency models. That's the Traoré formula. Blend indigenous knowledge with global innovation. He's got Fani, herders advising engineers on how to divert cattle routes without disrupting nomadic. Mossy elders are consulted while land is touched, and lands are respected. You know what that does? It eliminates istin. It invites unity. This project doesn't just bring water, it brings purpose. And while other nations fight over water rights, Traoré is signing water-sharing agreements in advance with Mali, with Niger, even with Chad. He's making this canal a continental pact, not just a national project. It's diplomacy through and through. Even the funding model is innovative. Instead of centralizing profits, Traoré structured it so Irrigation gets equity in their portion off the canal. That means locals aren't justicers, they're stakeholders. That's how you prevent corruption. That's how you create legacy. This isn't just some trench in the dirt. This is Africa's bloodstream, designed to pump opportunity to every corner it touches. And it's all happening because one man refused to do things the old way. New model of African development. Stay with me till the end, because I will reveal the one factor that could determine whether this bold vision succeeds or fails, and also how the African diaspora might play a crucial role. Let's begin with a project that addresses a problem familiar across Africa: Air Burkina revival. When 80% of West African air traffic is handled by non-African airlines, the economic costs are enormous. That's why Traoré's government has invested $450 million to revive Air Burkina, with fleet upgrades and airport modernization. The economics are particularly interesting. African aviation is projected to grow 9% annually over the next 2 decades. Airport construction alone has created nearly 5,000 direct and indirect jobs, and that literally means that improvisability will boost war. the seeds of tomorrow, what the future looks like now. Let's fast forward 5 years. The canal is complete. The dry lands off northern Burkina Faso are now emerald green. Children who once walked miles for water now splash in backyard fountains. Crops that hadn't grown in 20 years now feed entire provinces. That's not a dream, it's a projection Traoré's own Ministry of Agriculture has published. But more than the harvest, it's the ripple effect that matters. With the canal up and running, food exports increase, lowering Africa's dependency on imported grain. Traoré plans to build processing zones right along the canal, creating jobs and local value chains. Farmers become exporters, villagers become entrepreneurs. And remember those youths who once risked their lives migrating north. They're staying, they're building, they're thriving. That's what water does. It roots people in place. It turns cows into community. Schools are rising, clinics are opening, life expectancy is climbing, and it's all connected to this single audacious act of irrigation. This canal is more than infrastructure. It's a philosophy, a declaration that Africa does need handouts. It needs leadership, and Traoré, for all his bold moves and military roots, has become something no one expected. A builder, on a fire, a man who understands that you don't have to conquer the world to change it. You just have to water your corner of it until it grows. And now all of Africa is watching, inspired and asking the most important question of all. If he can do it, why can't we? From dust to destiny, Traoré's irrigation canal isn't just a construction project. It's a revolution in the making. As the waters begin to flow, so too does a new era for Africa. One of self-reliance, innovation, and unstoppable hope. While the world watches in silence, Burkina Faso rises with thunder. And this canal, it's just the beginning. If you believe in bold visions, in leaders who fight for the land and its people, then this is your moment to tune in, like, share, and let the world know Africa is reclaiming its power.